Concept of Disaster and Disaster Risk by Risa B. Tindoy. Introduction. Disaster is a sudden calamitous event that seriously disrupts the functioning of a community or society and causes human, material, and economic or environmental losses that exceed the community's or society's ability to cope using its own resources. Though often caused by nature, disasters can have human origins. Some studies have suggested that commodities provide an effective hedge against natural disasters because disasters such as floods, drought, and hurricanes can affect commodity supply and increase the price. However, the effect can differ across commodities. A drought could cause a shortage of corn and increase corn prices. The higher corn prices raise feed prices, which could cause ranchers to slaughter cattle earlier than usual and depress the price of that commodity in short term. Overview. Disasters are a growing problem. They are an increasing concern to governments and an increasing part of the United Nations principal activities. Government and development agencies in general cannot rely on normal procedures to implement appropriate responses. They need to learn and practice special skills and attitudes. Disasters hurt the poor and vulnerable the most. Low income countries account for more than 70% of the world's disaster hotspots, and the world's poor, one third of whom live in multi hazard zones, are the most vulnerable. Since 1980, low income countries have accounted for only 9% of disaster events but 48% of the fatalities. Disaster is defined as a crisis situation causing widespread damage which far exceeds our ability to recover. Thus, by definition, there cannot be a perfect ideal system that prevents damage, because then it would not be a disaster. It has to suffocate our ability to recover. Only then can it be called as disaster. Disasters are not totally discrete events. Their possibility of occurrence, time, place, and severity of the strike can be reasonably and in some cases accurately predicted by technological and scientific advances. It has been established that there is a definite pattern in their occurrences, and hence we can, to some extent, reduce the impact of damage, though we cannot reduce the extent of damage itself. The term disaster owes its origin to the French word désastre, which is a combination of two words, des meaning bad and astre meaning star. Thus, the term refers to bad or evil star. Hence, disaster is a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or a society involving widespread human material, economic, or environmental losses and impacts which exceeds the ability of the affected community or the society to cope using its own resources. On the other hand, disaster risk is the potential of losing something of value. Values such as physical health, social status, emotional well being, or financial wealth can be gained or lost when taking risk resulting from a given action, activity, and or inaction, foreseen or unforeseen. It can also be defined as the intentional interaction with uncertainty. Uncertainty is a potential, unpredictable, immeasurable, and uncontrollable outcome. Risk. It is a consequence of action taken in spite of uncertainty. It is an extraordinary situation that requires an immediate response but can be adequately managed at the local level by designated responders such as police officers, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and public health officials using local resources. Essential services such as food, water, housing, healthcare, and sanitation are usually disrupted for prolonged period of times. The World Health Organization defines disaster as an event involving 100 or more persons with 10 or more deaths, an official declaration, or an appeal for assistance. Disaster could be an isolated tornado. Types of disasters. Disasters are mainly of two types. First, natural disasters. Second, man made disasters. For natural disasters, examples include earthquakes, floods, and landslides. For man-made disasters, examples include war, bomb blasts, and chemical leaks. The phases of all disasters, either natural or man-made, are the same. The disasters often differ in quantity of damage caused or in quality of the type of medical consequences. For example, earthquakes cause a lot of physical injury and fractures. Floods cause drowning, deaths, and infections. Chemical leaks cause toxic manifestations. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.